Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamualaikum. Ji ayanum paheragale ni hao chunashumme washmale ohio gozaimas guten morgen hola boyo privyet kaifa hal halish machatore ahlan wa sahlan marhaba buna mucho gracias swabi abballi kare hosh galden anayo hasayo and thank you very much everybody for tuning into PTV World. You're certainly watching World this morning alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Haja Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Haja, how are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for asking me. So Shahzad, I was in a conversation with a friend of mine and she said that I'm really happy that, the oil prices have gone so much up above because she said that, there's a lot of climate change and, that will encourage people to look for the non-fossil fuel sort of alternatives, right? Of course, there's a lot of inflation with that, when the oil prices are high. But, there's a lot of criticism coming on especially the oil companies because, they have mounted a lot of profit when it comes to, especially, Shell has, marked 26% profits in their earnings and their incomes. And how the temperature is going on, the climate change is going on. So, I felt like sharing because I felt that was an interesting conversation.
It is an interesting conversation, right. But to be very honest, I think that our infrastructure is not really built on where we can certainly look for other alternate resources because the other alternate resource which we have available over in Pakistan is 11 number, 11 number, it's our legs. So either we have to pedal or either we have to walk towards work, and 15 kilometers early in the morning walking, and that too in this weather, I don't think that we'll be able to do the show because even now, we do get a little sweaty because of the conditions within the studios and these lights. This is an interesting bit of conversation, but I feel, ladies and gentlemen, in days to come, alhamdulillah, because PMLN governments has been actually able to curtail the price of oil too as well. But in days to come, this is something I'm saying, this is not an official statement or anything, that I believe that the oil prices are going to come down at least 42 rupees, and you can mark my words, and if that happens, you will certainly give me 5,000 rupees, all right? Because I was the first one to actually give you all of that.
Am I a shell company that I will give you 5,000?
You're not a shell company, but you're taking advantage of all of these, oil prices going up and coming down too as well.
How so?
You're making sure that, your father drops you, otherwise you were driving your car yourself.
I drive myself, nobody's dropping me.
But your father's been refueling.
No. Not at all.
Okay, so that means that she can truly afford 5,000 rupees. All right, but with that, ladies and gentlemen, on a lighter note, we really need to get started with what's happening because Commonwealth Games just ended. A lot of Pakistanis have made us proud, and we actually hope and pray for their well-being in near future. And yes, at the same time, I actually hope and pray that Pakistan is able to put up such performances in Olympics too in days to come as well. So first things first, let's see what happened in the Commonwealth Games. So ladies and gentlemen, the Commonwealth Games 2022 ended after a glittering closing ceremony at the Alexander Stadium in Birmingham. The Games flag was lowered and handed over to Victoria, Australia, which will host the next edition of the Commonwealth Games in 2026. In 11-day Commonwealth Games, Australia secured top position on medals table with 67 gold, 57 silver and 54 bronze medals. Sab bade ladke the. England is at second place with 57 gold, 66 silver and 53 bronze medals. Canada is occupying the third position with 26 gold, 32 silver and 34 bronze medals. Pakistan won total 8 medals, including 2 gold, 3 silver and 3 bronze in the Commonwealth Games. And the detail of all of those amazing athletes from Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, is as follows, where Arshad Nadeem for para-athletics men's javelin actually got a gold medal. Muhammad Sharif Tahir for wrestling men's freestyle 74 kg got a silver medal. Ali Asad for men's freestyle wrestling got a bronze medal. Zaman Anwar for wrestling men's freestyle 125 kg silver medal. Then Muhammad Inam wrestling men's freestyle 86 kg silver medal. Inayatullah wrestling men's freestyle 65 kg bronze medal. Muhammad Noor Dastagir weightlifting men's 109 plus kg category gold medal. And Shah Hussain Shah for judo men 90 kg bronze medal. Wow, so congratulations to all of these amazing gentlemen. I would have loved to see women participating in it too as well, and then kind of winning it for Pakistan, which which will directly, in fact, kind of tell us about the cohesion, because when we talk about cohesion, it is about equal opportunity as well, which we are going to later, inshallah, talk about this subject as well. But what's up next?
Okay, so we have another news regarding games, and that games are Islamic games. Wow, interesting. The 5th Islamic Solidarity Games begins in Konya, Turkey. The games will run until August 18 at a metropolitan stadium in Konya. More than 4,200 players and officials from 55 Islamic countries are taking part in the games. Players will take part in 380 events of 19 different games. 114-member Pakistani contingent is taking part in those sports, and which is around 14 sports in total. Oh wow, I think it's lovely that how different forums are representing different games. The Commonwealth has their own category of games, so Islamic countries came together and have their own categories of games, and games always promote the sportsmanship, the sportsman spirit, the cohesion, the solidarity, the brotherhood and whatnot. And obviously a lot of games are designed in a way that one team is going to win and another is going to lose. But having said so, I mean, that encourages a lot of confidence, that encourages a lot of solidarity, a sort of a brotherhood. So it is always a good to have physical sports, physical activities, especially in a digitalized era, where we are all glued to our screens.
And not just that, in addition to that, so for all of those people, because just like how Hajra mentioned that these days it's everything is digital, everybody's playing games online too as well. If you talk about PUBG, if you talk about Tekken, PlayStation, all of these platforms. But the good news for all of those gentlemen or women who are actually playing on their cell phones or probably PlayStations or Xbox, the good news is that all of these games are being included in Commonwealth Games and Olympics too as well in days to come. So because it is a bigger market now, it is a billion-dollar market. We know about Arsalan Ash, who actually happens to be the world champion for Tekken. So he's earned crores of rupees just by playing Tekken as well. So ladies and gentlemen, there's no stopping, but obviously we really need to consider how for our well-being, for us being healthier, it is really important to go out, exercise, play some games. It is really important for our well-being, for our mental well-being as well. But with that, I think we really need to come down towards where we have been pointing our fingers today, and that is national cohesion, which we have picked up as a topic. So very layman understanding of it will be that people coming together from a diverse group for a common goal. When we talk about national cohesion, obviously it is because of the fact that we are patriot people. We do see that how we have Pakistaniyat inside us. That is great, but there are still few areas where we really need to work. How do you think cohesion is achieved? What are the challenges to cohesion? I think all of these things really do matter in today's time, especially in Pakistan, because just very recently, over just last day, we have seen how national cohesion was being kind of damaged by some people saying, some people representing just their political party or their political leader. So I think that we really need to speak about it, that when it comes down to the very aspect of patriotism, we really need to come together. It does not really matter whether I'm a Hindu, Christian, or I'm a Sikh, or I'm a Muslim. We really need to come together to think about the prosperity of the country first, and then anything else comes later as well. Do you want to say anything on that?
That's true, and I think there are a lot of factors, that gel a nation together. So for some nation, it's not the religion. For example, I will take the case of United States of America. They do not have an official religion. Why? Because there are a lot of group of people came together. Some were Catholics, some were Protestants, some were, Episcopal Church or whatnot, right? So they said that, if we label a particular religion as an official, church, that would, damage the national cohesion, right? But Pakistan was based on the two-nation theory, and Islam is a very integral part when it comes to the national cohesion. So exploring the relationship between the national occasion and the factors that gel or glue a nation together, we have an amazing guest in the studio who's going to talk about it. And before I introduce him, I think Shehzad has something to say.
I think I'm going to lose my institutional cohesion if the AC is not turned on anytime sooner, because it's just making us all sweat too as well. So it's a humble request in the MCI, if you can send somebody, it's a little too hot. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's the best factor, over here. Okay, there will be days when you don't feel that things are going in your direction or the way things should be. Even then, you really need to make sure that you first of all focus on national cohesion or institutional cohesion too as well. That's very important. So we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who actually happens to be the former Information United Nations officer too as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a regular on the show, and I'm lucky that today we're actually discussing this topic because it actually holds quite a vital importance in the first place. We say vital or important, that's the same. But in the past recent days, we have seen a
Right.
few things taking place which definitely damages the very image or tarnishes the image of national cohesion too as
Right.
well. So we're very lucky that we have been joined by Mr. Muhammad Abdul Wahab Sahab. Hello sir, Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for your
How are you
invitation.
sir?
I'm fine. Thank you so much.
Wonderfully.
Yes. Yeah.
Wo-
You know, we
wonderful.
are sweating.
I think everybody's sweating these days, it's all right. But keeping in mind cohesion, I think we really
Yeah.
need to kind of agree
Exactly.
and disagree at the same time.
Right.
That is important. But sir, first of all, okay, let's draw a line where what national cohesion is. I've said it, people
Yeah.
coming together from diverse groups, making sure that they're going to have
Exactly.
the same goal related to their
Right.
country or to their nation in their minds too as well.
Yeah.
How would you further explain national cohesion?
You see, national cohesion basically symbolizes a state where all diverse groups, maybe ethnic, maybe sectarian, they all get united for the attainment of a single goal. In the case of Pakistan, Pakistan came into being on the basis of La ilaha illallah.
Muhammad Rasul.
In spite of the fact, our constitution, our leaders, they guaranteed that all minorities will get their rights and nobody will touch them and they will get full justice. So, Islam was adopted as a guiding principle for the state, and let me tell you, there's no other system in the world which guarantees more rights to minorities except Islam.
Right.
You see, I mean, all minorities
That's true.
feel protected, and their almost every rights are guaranteed. That is something different. I mean, they are not guaranteed practically. Basically, I mean, when we talk about national cohesion, let me tell you that as an individual, as a family, as a group, as a state, we need to have cohesion within ourselves. For example, the basic unit of every society is a home. You see,
Right.
a home usually consists of, say, 3 to 4 brothers, 3 to 4 sisters. If they have too much differences among them, if they're fighting, if they're cribbing all the time against each other, what is going to happen? The house, the home will earn a bad repute in the society, in that street, in that
Right.
city, in the country. Similarly, when a country comes into being, it has to have that cohesion which keeps it united, and all the individuals, all the groups, all those components of the society, they work for the single aim, their personal development and development of the country.
True.
You see, they all are united on one single point agenda, that their individual development is connected with the development of the country.
Right.
The system, when we talk about national cohesion, state has, has the most responsible sort of priority.
Right.
It has to guarantee all the basic rights to citizens, irrespective of caste, creed, and religion.
Right.
I add language as well. You see? So basically, what has to happen, state has to come in, state has to tell, state has to be like a mother, state has to tell whatever religion you have, whatever language you speak, whatever area you are from, whoever you are. If you are in Pakistan, you are a Pakistani, and as a state, we are bound to provide you your rights.
Okay.
Nothing should come on the way which sort of erects hurdles on the way of provision of rights to common citizens. Plus, justice is the most important pillar of a state.
Right.
If justice is not there, if your problems are not solved,
Right.
if somebody commits crime and he gets free, he is moving around with impunity, what happens? Lawlessness starts increasing. When lawlessness starts increasing, I mean, that society becomes a sort of jungle, you see, and people outside, they start calling that society banana republic.
That's
you see. So basically, when we talk about national cohesion, we say that irrespective of diversity, we have to search for unity. Unity in diversity.
So, and that's wonderfully explained. I think it is for the people out there to understand as well. But I believe that, okay, we have spoken about the state, but it is a shared responsibility, because we really need to kind of come down to the bit where it's instilling the national values and the practices of good governance. I think these are two things which will certainly take us towards national cohesion. But when we talk about national values, I think a lot of people might be surprised or might be thinking as of now, okay, yaar, what are the national values? We haven't read about them in our curriculum. Nobody tells about them, in our household too as well. So, as a population of a country which we call Islamic Republic of Pakistan, what do you think should be our national values? And do you think that we have good governance over here?
A very good question, Shahzad. Again, let me go back to house, the unit. You have 7 children. You have a mom, you have a dad. If you let loose those 7 children, if you allow them to do whatever they want, what will be the outcome? Outcome will be they will go astray. Somebody might be selling bananas, somebody might be mechanic, somebody might be something else. Parents have the role to guide, to steer the ship. You see, they have to take responsibility of the children. So state has same role as parents of the nation. They have to inculcate a sense that everybody has to work hard, everybody has to remain integrated. If in case of Pakistan, we have 4 provinces. Unfortunately, democracy was not allowed to flourish right from the beginning. Quaid-e-Azam was the last leader, first and last leader, who was the most sincere and committed, dedicated founder of Pakistan. After that, we had dearth of leaders who really could come up to expectations. What happened right from the beginning? We behaved like irresponsible parents. We allowed our children to go astray. We didn't bring them close. We knew that we are searching for unity in diversity. We knew that at the same time we had hostile neighbors. You see, we knew that if we do not work hard, these enemies will really sneak into us and they will destroy our unity. In spite of that threat, we started sleeping. We continued sleeping. We remained in deep slumber. We allowed things to boil up to an extent where things got out of control. For example, in my personal opinion, if we had started, we had 4 provinces, we should have really exerted a lot to bring them together. A person from a single province was supposed to learn the languages of other 3 provinces. There should have been, for example, right now for cultural adaptability, we send students group to US, to Canada, to Britain. Why didn't we do this from the beginning? Why didn't we send a university from Punjab to Sindh, or a university from Sindh to, say, KPK, or university from KPK to Balochistan, in order to bring people together, in order to just eradicate language barriers?
I think this is happening a lot, because I do feel that there are quotas in different universities for the different students. For example, in Punjab University, there is a quota for students from the Balochistan or from the Sindh, and the purpose is exactly the same, to have a more harmony, to have a greater national cohesion. So it's not like that the attempts were not made. Attempts were made, but I do feel that there's something lagging in our educational system when it comes to civic education, right? We are not being taught how to be a good, responsible citizen, right? So we say that this is this problem with Pakistan, this is this problem. We are not talking about, how we can contribute
the values.
Towards the values, towards the national building. So I went to Turkey and I saw that there's so much nationalism there. Every other household has a Turkish flag, waving there, or the cars have a lot of Turkish flags over there. They have their own definition of nationalism when it comes. You want to contribute?
You have raised a very good question. Quota system. Let me throw a bit light.
Are you in favor of the quota system first of all, or are you in favor of merit?
I'm just going to explain.
Okay, sure.
What is this quota system?
Right.
Quota system means you are going to negate merit.
I think it's dangerous.
For example, you say we are going to hire 40% pilots on quota system and 60% on merit. 60% are your best pilots and 40%, perhaps they got 40% marks Those 60 on merit, they got 90% marks throughout the career.
True.
So you bring those 40% guys, right? You know, when you're in sheer emergency in the air, that 40% guy, he forgets everything, and there is a big disaster. So quota system is basically sheer injustice to education system.
True.
Right? This has destroyed our nation. What had to happen? You are right. I mean, you might come to second point that, oh, sir, for example, in DI Khan we don't have a good university, but in Islamabad we have an excellent university.
Right.
So what if you just do, I mean, this sort of
Give representation to the
merit,
people. Right.
only people from Islamabad will win. DI Khan guys will, where they will go.
Right.
Our rulers have failed. Why they didn't establish good universities throughout Pakistan?
True.
That's true.
Just start from right now. Rather right from the beginning.
Right.
Where did the funds go? The universities should have been established. DI Khan was supposed, for example, I'm just, for the sake of reference, I'm using the name of DI Khan. Why DI Khan didn't have a hospital like Shifa or PIMS? Why even, for example, a rural Sindh or rural KPK or rural Balochistan don't have hospitals or universities of the standard of, say, NAST or ComSats or
LUMS,
something else?
yes.
You see,
Right.
why IBA or LUMS, I mean, they were not in other parts of the Pakistan. So,
Right.
basically what has happened, in order to justify this quota system, we had sort of fabricated lame excuses. Our lame excuse right now is, oh, since, you know, I mean, we have too much disparity in the overall system. So, I mean, in order to accommodate less privileged people across the rural parts of the country, they
Right.
need to be accommodated. Accommodate them. I will just give you an example. I won't mention the name, I won't mention the places, but in order to explain my case, I need to do that. In a very good hospital, government hospital of Islamabad, almost 5 years back, there was a cesarean operation going on,
Right.
and the lady expired right in the middle of the operation. The head surgeon over there, I mean, she sensed, and she asked this guy who
Anesthetician?
gives anesthesia, anesthetist, what's happening? And he said, or she said, sir, she's no more. Later on, it was discovered anesthesia was not given properly because the guy had come from a rural area of Pakistan
On a quota basis.
where on the quota basis, where he or she had no training at all.
Exactly.
She had undergone no major surgery experience. So this happens, you know, quota system. If you talk about quota system, you will have a system full of stupids.
Thank you very much for saying that. I kind of agreed to this as well because we totally really need to kind of ensure the system of merit. And yes, you know, I think he's right where he said that, you know, why do not we have such amazing facilities for education in all of those remote areas too as well. Obviously, we really need to create that. And until then, there are a lot of private universities and anybody and everybody can get their admission. There's no requirement of quota as well. All you have to do is pass the examination test. But I think, sir, it eventually comes down to weaker rule of law, and number two, selfishness and greediness, and that too in terms of people. We really need to talk about it because the institution itself is nothing. It's the team working within that institution. If they're full of greed, if they're selfish, if they're not ready to entertain, if they're not ready to kind of venture into the direction where the country or the institution will become more cohesive, I think that's really important to discuss over here. We have so many unions within the government officials, within the government organizations where they do not really let them kind of do the work they wanted to do. And then at times, you know, whoever's going to be the boss, the other one's going to come not like him or his entire team, so they are being fired. So we do have all of these issues. So with given all of these challenges, how do you think that we can come down to a part where we will say that Pakistan is a nationally cohesive country and nation?
You're right. Shahzad, let me tell you. First of all, we will have to give top priority to merit. At the same time, we will have to control population.
True.
Third thing is what we have to do, we have to give people confidence that you all are one in the state, in the eyes of state. Unfortunately, this is not happening. As I said right from the beginning, we didn't give the nation a sense of oneness. We didn't provide the sense of unity.
Hey, sir, till the time my grandfather was living, I think we had this sense. You know, I'm very sorry. I think we dismayed somewhere. It is on our generation and the generations coming now. But until my father and my grandfather, I still see that how they're so patriotic and they would always speak about Pakistan and that too coming together, not thinking about who's representing what background. So
Right.
this is something which I have seen in the past. I think we have somewhere missed out on all of these values from early 2000s. I think that's what I'm going to refer to.
In a way, you are right. But on the other hand, basically, I do agree with you partly.
Okay.
Right? This happened. But let me tell you, all your foundations were laid back in 50s, 60s, and 70s.
True.
Right? There was a time when we were fighting against social injustice. There was a time when we were fighting against sectarianism.
Yes.
We had rulers who promoted sectarianism.
Yes.
Right? We had rulers who wreaked havoc. You know,
Yep.
it's a bit hot, so they really wreaked havoc.
Right.
So basically,
Yeah.
what is happening? We did injustice to ourselves. Started doing from 50s. Disastrous results were more evident after 2000.
Okay.
You see,
So it was because of all of those things
Yeah.
which were taking place.
the reason was until 2000 our population was in control. Basically, what happens? People in general don't agree. The overall fabric of a society is resources should be commensurate to population.
True.
Okay.
If that doesn't happen, then
I think we did make strides, especially when it comes to the 18th Amendment. We did devolve a lot of things to the provinces, and I think that was a right step when it comes to the national cohesion.
True. Right.
And I think we are stuck in a never-ending debate of, the merit and the
Which is why I have wrote down the solutions to as well. So if you allow me, sir, towards the end of this segment.
Because we have to
First-
wrap it
yeah,
up, yes.
First of all, thank you very much for being with us and speaking your heart out. And
Right.
this topic is very close to me. Thank you very much, Jamshed
did.
Saab, for picking up this topic. So very quickly, I'm just going to list. I've written them by myself, ladies and gentlemen. So the benefits of a cohesive and integrated society or a nation would be institutional solidarity, unity and harmony, unified approach in confronting external threats, commitment to institutional well-being as well, institutional ideas, improved performance, promotion of equity in the sharing of available resources and building of a strong institutional identity. And these are all the things which we have discussed on the show. So while I was writing about all of these,
Okay,
it was
nice.
easier for me to kind of jot these values down because this is
Right.
very important for us to kind of come together when we do see an external threat. Internally, I think it's wonderfully well. But and while I was writing about all of this, I think
Right.
for people, journalists on the private news channels, they really need to make sure that whatever they're sharing on their screen actually kind of
That's true.
tarnishes or damages the image of national cohesion within Pakistan as well. You can do it domestically. Nobody's saying anything to you. But when it comes down to doing it internationally, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you refrain from such statements on your YouTube channels because the world can see that and use it
Right.
against us as well.
Right. So with that, I think we are going on a break, and after we come back, so we have another very important topic because we are talking about respecting diversity, about the cohesion, integration, and whatnot. So after a short break, we will be right back.
Inshallah. Good morning.
Welcome back. And before going on a break, we were talking about the national cohesion, and I think women have a really important role to play when it comes to the national cohesion, and especially when we are talking about the formation of Pakistan, because there were a lot of women who came out, who supported the movement, who supported their brothers, and the people, the men who were actually fighting for the cause of independence, right? So we have made a package. We wanted to show that how women have contributed actually in the community building and identity formation of Pakistan. So let's have a look.
Let's go.
Of Muslim League worked tirelessly side by side with their menfolk under Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's leadership to achieve a separate homeland for the Muslims of subcontinent. The first woman who shines in history of Pakistan movement is Abidi Begum, mother of famous Muslim leaders Maulana Shaukat Ali and Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar. She stood like a rock behind her sons during Khilafat movement. Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah also believed in the power of women and always encouraged his sister Fatima Jinnah to take part in political activities. In 1938, Quaid-e-Azam created All India Muslim Women's Subcommittee of All India Muslim League. Mohtarma Fatima Jinnah, Begum Rana Liaquat Ali Khan, Begum Salma Tasaddaq Hussain, Begum Jahan Ara Shahnawaz, Lady Abdullah Haroon, Shaista Ikramullah and many other women actively used this platform for the creation of Pakistan. The women proved their mettle by mobilizing masses in the entire India. Women's mobilization in Punjab and Northwest Frontier Province is of great importance in the creation of Pakistan. In the most crucial phase of Pakistan movement, when millions of families migrated to Pakistan, women suffered all sorts of brutalities at the hands of Hindu and Sikh militants. The tales of women's sufferings is a glorious chapter of Pakistan movement. Reporting for PTV World, Musharraf Zahoor.
And that's a wonderful report, and that too where we are actually moving towards the 75th independence of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe it's really very important that we highlight the role of women too as well. I think which is why, we really need to speak about Miss Fatima Jinnah too as well, as we actually watched the report. But now I think there's a more important topic as of now at our hands, and that is that when we talk about the struggle of freedom for the people living inside Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, I think women have been side by side with their men too as well. Not just that, it makes me really sad to say that almost 23,000 women or wives have been widowed as of now when we talk about Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And not just that, in addition to that, 96,000 men and women have been martyred by the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. But in fact, the forces within the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the Indian forces, the abrogation, we just went through the 5th of August where it was Yawm Istisal and the abrogation of the Article 307 and 35, where we've spoken about it, how the domicile laws are being changed, how the demographics of a very particular conflict zone has been changed by the fascist Modi government as well. But we really wanted to talk about the role women have played in this struggle towards freedom and self-determination. I think to speak about that, we're very lucky that we've been joined by this very apt guest who actually happens to be the Secretary General Peace and Culture Organization. She happens to be Miss Sabeen Hussain Malik Saiba. Hello, Assalamu Alaikum, good morning, how are you?
Good morning, how are you?
First of all, thank you very much. I would really want to appreciate your and your sister's role, because today we're talking about women's role when we talk about people inside Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, where every day is a struggle, where every day is a fight, and where every day they're making sure that they're going to show resilience too as well. And when we talk about cohesion, I think that the men, women and children of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir are really on point when we talk about national cohesion too as well. So my question for you is, why don't you highlight the role women have played? Because I've read so many articles on how women's husbands have been martyred, and then they pick up on their work. There are a lot of agencies who actually extend the hand of help, but they're still managing it themselves as well. So how's life when we talk about women inside Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir?
First of all, I think women in general are quite strong human beings, and I think we kind of have like these superpowers wherever we go, and whatever roles Allah gives us, somehow or the other we kind of fit in, we gel in. So hats off to us women, and of course I won't say that it's just women, men and women. We are, we are a team, and we complement each other. But here I would highlight the case of extremely brave women of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir in particular. The thing is that it's really unfortunate that the current situation, in fact, it's been going on, the barbarism, the killings, the atrocities in Jammu and Kashmir since many decades. It's not like that it's a recent thing, and the world somehow is still silent, and we have a lot of expectations from international human organizations like the UN, and there's so many others. And we want them to come and see what is happening and to stop and to actually play their role for the main reason why these organizations are made in the first place. True. So that they can bring about peace, and there is resolution of all the conflicts in a peaceful manner, in a civilized way. So these women have double duties, I would say. So that's why I'm calling them brave. Firstly, most of the men have disappeared, or they're killed, they're missing. As you might have heard, this term half-widow was coined. This was after all the atrocities happening in Jammu and Kashmir. And these women have a lot of responsibilities, They have to become the breadwinners. They have to look after their children, they have to look after everybody, because life goes on, life does not stop. So they just have to be extra strong. And you know how Allah has made women. Allah has made women in a different way than men, physically, mentally, especially physically, yes. So women are to be treated gently. I'm not saying, and I'm not here to chant slogans on feminism, because I kind of feel that we don't really need any of that feminism, because our religion, Islam, has already given us a lot of rights.
That's true.
And also the power that we have is, I think, it's really because of Allah Almighty. We have that faith, that strong, the conviction to go on.
Right.
So we really somehow or the other, these women especially, and I don't see myself as any different from them, because we've also dedicated our lives to this noble cause, and these women are really strong.
Exactly. And in addition to that, I would love to mention over here, and I've mentioned it before too as well, because in my eyes, I think a true feminist is somebody who actually vouches for equal rights for everyone.
That's true.
And this is something which I've seen as well. So Aja, you wanted to ask a question,
yes,
please go ahead.
Yes, I really wanted to ask this question. So, there is a concerted attempt by the Indian illegal, occupation forces to erase the Kashmiri identity, which is very intricately Muslim when you look at it, right? So they're not allowed to wear the farran. It has been banned in the public places, right? They're not allowed to speak in the Kashmiri language, which is mostly Urdu language in there. And that there is also a resistance going on within the Kashmir, from within the very indigenous people of Kashmir there. So for example, I think 2-3 years ago, there was a massive fireworks on 14th of August, to celebrate Pakistan's Independence Day. And that was a very brave step, because considering the fact that there have been so many atrocities going on, people are not afraid of those atrocities, because I think that limit has been breached when it comes to the Kashmir and the Indian illegally occupation's very asymmetric power, the exercise of the power there. So I really wanted to ask you, what sort of resistance is being put when when it comes to the kids there, when it comes to the women there, and what are some of the methods in their repertoire of the toolbox which they display that?
Well, they have to face hurdles and obstacles every single day. Even just going to schools and colleges is like a major major thing. It's very difficult to go to their workplaces. Mostly the colleges and schools and educational institutions, they are shut down. Right. And even when they're open, just going there, because they get harassed on the way by the Indian Army. Right. And this is like on a daily basis. It's not like once in a while. Still somehow they have the courage, and they are unarmed. They just have their school bags with them. True. And this faith that they have to get their education and make an effort and play their roles in the society. So they face hurdles all the time. And when you were talking about the recent August 5th, that was another big disaster. It was one of the blackest days in the history of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir.
Or speaking about human rights violation, I think every single day is of such sort as well.
Yes.
But in addition to that, Ms. Sabine, what I wanted to talk about over here is, since we were talking about women and the role they play, and prior to this we were talking about national cohesion. I think women actually has to
Right.
play a very important role when we talk about cohesion, when we talk about instilling values,
Yes.
ethics and morals. Because if I go back in time, I see that my mother has been constantly telling me, my sisters, how patriotism is, how we really need to be together, how we are a support system for each other. So, I think same goes for the mothers and the daughters and the sisters that too, which live in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, because it's because of them that the men are able to go outside unarmed and make sure that even the occupation forces, when they put up a flag, in the next 30 minutes the flag's been taken down by the people, by the residents. So that's the kind of women we are actually talking about today, who are heroes within themselves as well, and they have been producing heroes by giving that support system. How difficult and challenging it is for them to make sure that every single day they are going to instill those values, which will or probably bring more pain to them in result, seeing their brothers or their other siblings getting tortured by the occupied forces too as well. What do you have to say about it?
And what keeps them going on despite all of the
It's
brutality?
the conviction, it's the faith, like I told you earlier. It's really that when you have this passion and when you have this strong conviction that yes, you're on the right path, and that you are carrying on with this struggle to freedom, which is the right of every human being to live honorably, to live a free life, and just like other human beings are given that opportunity, So to have that, and if somebody is not given that right, then yes, that person must get up, must stand up and stand against oppression.
True.
So they all have that. And as mothers, I would say, after Allah, someone who can really, really love you unconditionally.
That's
Both
true.
parents, but yes, mothers have a much higher.
I don't know if
you
I'm going to agree to it as a father, but yes, okay.
No, I've always been, like very close to my father.
Yes.
And in
But
fact,
mothers still obviously have a
yes,
very
but
important role.
mothers, play a pivotal role. If I talk about like in our own personal lives, I think my mother is a lioness, and this is the reason why we also have that kind of fire and passion. My sister and I.
And I wanted to speak about it since you've mentioned about your sister too as well. Obviously, you have an example inside your home.
Yes.
And Yasin Malik Saab's daughter is actually being raised by the mother, and she never gets an opportunity to actually see her father too as well. That might be difficult. So even looking inside your own house or home, where you actually have been talking about your mother, because she is the support system. She is that pillar who actually gives energy to you and to your sister as well, and now to her Nawasi too as well.
Yes, yes.
So what is that particular role which your mother has played in making sure that that resilience stay alive, that every single day you're going to have the same commitment to the very same cause for longest of the years too as well?
I really can't. I fail to understand where, mashallah, she gets all that energy. She's always had that. And the minute my father saw her, and he was like, this is the woman I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And they had a huge age difference. But I think, what he liked about her was, my mother, was not just her beauty, but the kind of personality that she has, mashallah. So, yeah. I really don't know. I really don't know what keeps her going.
And wherever I meet you or Miss Michelle Malik Saiba, I think your mother always accompanies both of you too as well. Always that support system guiding you to. She sits in the middle, and both of you will take the sides too as well. So I think that's what keeps us going as well. And the most important message over here is that we men, ladies and gentlemen, all of these values and all of these ethics and morals are being instilled within us, that too in the first place, because the first ever wasila made by Allah Almighty is parents. So I think it's mother and the father too as well, and they have a very important role to play, that too side by side. But thank you very much, Ms. Sabine, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you, and please keep up the resilience, keep up the dedication and the motivation. Our prayers go out for you and the people of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and we will always be beside you no matter what happens. But now,
Right. So, it is always said that the frailty thigh name is women, right? But, when you look at the Kashmiri women, I think that we need to deconstruct this concept because, as Ms. Sabine Malik said, that, half widow was coined as a term, and a lot of, men, they have been tortured, they have been eliminated by the occupation forces. So the emblem of the freedom struggle is now upon the women, and who are very gracefully carrying it and, very gracefully fighting for a very just cause that they believe in that.
so more power to them.
Yes, more power to them.
Exactly.
So with that, we will say our goodbyes to you. So we will come another time with another good episode, with another good guest. So until that time, it's a goodbye.